Following autopsies completed by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, the following are identified as victims of Tuesday's homicide in Brentwood. Joshua Barclay Hunter, Hunter, 23. Kaitlin Ashley Perras, Perras, 23. Jordan Gabriel Segura, Segura, 22. Lawrence Martin Hong, Hong, 27. And Zackariah James Rathwell, Rathwell, 21. Members of our Services Forensic Crime Scene Unit continue to collect evidence at the scene of the home on Butler Crescent Northwest, and there is some potential that their work at the home may continue till at least Saturday, April 19th. We'll do what we can to collapse that scene as soon as possible. The accused in this matter, Matthew de Grood, will remain in Calgary Remand custody pending his next court appearance, which is on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014. And I will answer whatever questions I can.
Can you confirm whether the family placed a call just in the days before suggesting that they were worried about Matt de Grood, and they were, essentially it was described as an alert to be issued. Can you confirm that?
So what I can say is that the activities certainly of Matthew leading up to the offense and what communication he had, what devices he used, is a significant part of that investigation that's going on right now. So the devices that he used, the people that he may have contacted, and the actual content of that message certainly forms a significant part of this investigation. So I don't have the content of that. Certainly we wouldn't release that right now. It would likely be something that's brought up in court, but certainly any communication he had, who he communicated with, or what the content was, is something that our investigators are looking at.
His lawyer said that he was at the psychiatric center. Can you just clarify where he is and when he left the psychiatric center and went to remand center?
Well, all I can tell you is that he is currently in remand center custody. Now, I understand that there is an assessment going on, but given that that's health information, that's information you'll have to get from his lawyer. We know that he is in custody, remand custody right now.
Has his family or his parents visited him in jail?
I'm not aware of if they have or not.
Are you? Do you know if, can you guys say how the victim and the accused knew each other, if at all, or if the accused actually knew these people?
We understand that the accused knew at least one person at the party. I don't know with regards to the other people that were at that party.
How did he know them?
How did he know who?
How did de Grood know the one person at the party?
Just family friends, somebody that he's known for a long time. Now, there may be other people that he knew. The people that were at the party, I don't know what the relationship is between all of them. Some may have known each other, some may not have. There were a number of people, I think, throughout the night. The numbers at the party ranged. Some were coming and going, but I don't know if everybody knew everybody. But I can confirm that, at least with regards to our accused, he knew one person very well.
Have you established a timeline at all?
Investigating this crime when an officer's son is involved in this crime?
You know what? Certainly the cornerstone of our profession is to investigate matters like this without favor or bias. I think everybody realizes this is the biggest mass homicide in Calgary's history. The investigative excellence that we have in the CPS, the amount of resources that we have dedicated to this file, we are going to, as we do with every file, investigate this to the infinite detail. We also work really, really closely with the Crown. When you look at the experience that we have in our homicide unit, the technology and the resources that we have in our forensic crime scene, our cyber crimes, our tech crimes, all the people, the components that would go into an investigation of this type, the amount of resources that we have with regards to victim assistance, scene containment, just everything, the whole component, 100% confidence in the ability of this organization to conduct this investigation. And we will do a thorough investigation, and certainly the results of that, I think you've seen already. Very, very quick response, arrest of the suspect very, very quickly after the offense, and within 20 hours, 5 charges of first-degree murder laid. Now, we work, like I say, work closely with the Crown, and the Crown has addressed that, so they're going to bring in independent, I believe the Edmonton Crown, just to review the file. But 100% confidence in our folks to do a thorough investigation without bias, which is the foundation of what we do.
Does this have
Some
to go
legal
to the
experts-
Solicitor General?
I'm sorry. go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, some legal experts, though, have called for another agency to step in. I mean, how would you address the issue of partiality or perception of partiality, and what kind of oversight is there in place to make sure that that doesn't occur?
Well, that's the Crown. In this case, we have to be clear too, this is not a police officer we're investigating. And, you know, every investigation, we're not gonna be checking in to see what connections there are to members of our service. We have to go into an investigation like this, particularly an investigation of this magnitude, with the full knowledge that we're gonna do what we need to do to ensure that the case that we put before the courts is above reproach. And like I say, in this case, the amount of resources that we've dedicated, no different than any other investigation, I think speaks to that. And in this case, this will all become clear to the degree and the professionalism of this investigation when it comes before court. But
How many officers are involved right now, and how many hours are each of them spending?
well,
on
I
the case?
don't have that kind of detail, but there's a number of officers that have had to deal with the initial response, the scene containment. We have a lot of investigative resources between our homicide unit and other major crime units. We have our entire forensic crime scene unit there. Just the number of resources that we put into volunteers and our victim assistance unit, dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of people that have touched this file at some point from the start to where we are right now. So
Is it being worked on 24 hours a day?
absolutely.
Is it ultimately the Solicitor General who will decide how this case moves forward, or who oversees it, or anything?
No, I think, I mean, the Crown can make their decision, I believe through the Solgen's office, as to who's going to review the file. They've made that decision. There is no question in our mind, our confidence that this investigation will be done in a thorough, unbiased manner, like I say, which is the foundation and cornerstone of what we do, and the proof will be when we present this file to court. The fact that 20 hours in, 5 counts of first-degree murder speaks to, I think, the level of professionalism and the results of this investigation.
Can you comment on the reports that the officer, the inspector, is suffering from MS?
No, I won't comment on that. Thank you.
Now that the autopsies are done, can you say today if these victims were kind of caught off guard, or anything that can support your first-degree murder charge?
No, the only thing I can say, of course, is that the deaths were as a result of stabbing. With regards to, I mean, there's going to be a lot of speculation, and there's going to be a lot of guessing, and everybody's trying to get that answer as to how this possibly could have happened, and did nobody intervene? And, you know, we will hopefully be able to answer that question as we continue on. We're still interviewing people. People are still coming forward, some that had been at the party, some that had left at the party. You know, we may not be able to ever answer that question, but I can tell you that, you know, you don't know how you may react, and it is quite possible that people didn't even know what was going on. People froze. You know, again, we're not going to speculate or try to second guess. We know what the end result was, and hopefully we'll be able to get the answers as to how it happened, the timing of it, and how people reacted or didn't react as we talked to all the witnesses.
So in other words, the autopsies couldn't really,
Other
Yeah,
than
that's
the
sure.
cause of death being stabbing, no.
Have you been able to establish, 2 questions really. Have you been able to establish kind of the timeline between when the suspect arrived at the house and when like how long it was between that and the first act? And secondly, do you know if any of the victims were staying at the house?
The first question, I don't have the exact timeline. I do know that he came later in the night. Now, as far as the exact time that he got there and when the attack started, I don't have that. But I can say that this was a rental property, and that 2 of the 5 victims were residents there. The rest were guests.
Do you know, could you say which ones they
I
were?
don't, no, I don't have that. So.
when you mentioned that Matthew knew at least one person from the party, a family friend, was that person one of the victims or someone else?
I don't believe was one of the victims, no. And he may have known other people at the party. We just know at least that one person was a friend of his.
Did
Can you
he-
address the reports that the suspect was involved in some odd behavior before the event happened?
Yeah, and I don't want to get into the details as to, again, what his behavior was or what he said or some of the content of the communication that may or may not have happened. Those are very specific and certainly part of that investigative piece that's going to be presented before the courts.
Some partygoers have been told explicitly not to speak to the media. Why?
I'm not aware of that.
No one's been told not to speak to the media?
Well, I'm not aware of that. But it is possible that, you know, and it's not uncommon in a case like this, that when we're still talking to witnesses and we're still at the scene, we're still processing the crime scene, that we want to make sure that the evidence that we get and the statements that we get is true information and hasn't been influenced by what other people have said. So this wouldn't be uncommon, that you don't want a whole lot of people talking to each other until we have a chance to talk to them.
Did Matt DeGrood go straight from Safeway to the party, or did he make any stops in between?
I'm not
and
sure.
Were his parents expecting him home?
I don't know. I know he left work and went to the party. Whether he stopped partway, I'm not sure.
Can you just confirm something? I think that it was in the Calgary Herald that his mother called 911 and his dad went looking for him?
Again, I don't want to get into too many details as to the circumstances that were leading up to this actual event, because it will form part of that investigative piece that we bring forward. So again, whatever discussions he had, who he contacted, and what the content was, I don't want to get into that right now.
Does the suspect's father remain on the job? Or is he-
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can you?
And what, I'm sorry, just as a follow-up, so what is his main job right now? What is he in charge of?
He's a officer within our service. I don't want to get into what his specific tasks are. I mean, he's just a sworn officer,
But a senior one?
senior sworn officer, yeah, within our service, and he's active duty.
Can you talk about how much time there was between when DeGrood got to the party and when the stabbings began?
I don't know that. No, I can say that he came to the party later after it had started, but I don't have the exact timeline of when he arrived, how much time happened before the first assault happened.
Did he send any bizarre messages or
Again, I won't
messages
get into
at all
what
to
messages
anyone?
were sent.
Were any of the other people at the party's cell phones taken by police?
Well, I know we have spoken to a lot of people, and the content of any phones or videos or pictures or whatever, if it's something that's relevant to this case, would have been obtained by the investigators.
Do you have a better count of how many people were actually inside the house and how many people survived in the house? Like originally they thought there was 20 people, but since then.
There
people
was, I
said
mean,
there's less.
there are a number of people that came and went. So
No, I
at the
don't mean
time
in
of the
general,
actual,
but
the time
yeah.
of the attack, no, I don't know exactly how many were there.
Wanted to revisit for a moment, Kevin, just the matter of relationship. He goes to the party, certainly with one person he's known, that he knows. Do you have any kind of sense or any kind of information about whether he knew or had any kind of relationship with the victim specifically?
I don't know, and again, there was no indication, there didn't seem to be any precursors to this as far as any grudge or any vendetta or anything that would, you know, result in the motivation for this attack. Certainly motive is something we're trying to determine right now. He was at the party, he was a welcome guest at the party, he was mingling with the members of, or the people that were at the party. When the attack happened, why it happened, and who got attacked, those are details that'll certainly come out, but I don't have that right now.
So there
Safe
was
to say at this point, though, that relationship's unclear. It's not a matter of saying for sure these people are strangers to him or friends of him.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how well he knew these people or if he even knew these people.
So just to clarify what you're saying, there was a period in which he was mingling?
Sure.
At the
I
party?
mean, he didn't show up at the party and then start stabbing, I can say that definitively. How much time he was there mingling or visiting or talking to people, I don't have that
Can you just
exactly.
clarify a little bit more specifically, or speak to it a little bit more bluntly, the issue of mental illness? If there are any indications in the investigation so far that Matt DeGrood was suffering from any mental illness at all?
That'll be a significant part of what we're looking at right now. And again, it speaks to his state of mind or possible motive and why that we're looking right now, or why he's having an assessment right now. And I won't get into those conversations or what people's observations were because it is an important piece of this file.
Aside from alcohol, were there any other drugs at the party?
Yeah, not that we're aware of. We know it was a party. It wasn't a wild, out-of-control party. I mean, we've talked to the neighbors, and for the most part, a lot of them didn't even know what was going on. So it was a very controlled, well-behaved group.
Okay.
And there was some alcohol there, but certainly alcohol didn't play a factor, and I don't believe the drugs were even present. I don't know.
And there was nothing found in Matt DeGrood's system?
We don't know that yet,
How many
because
witnesses-
toxicology takes time to come back.
Sorry, how many witnesses have you guys spoken to, and
There's been a number.
have they been helpful in terms
Very,
of what
yeah.
may have started this whole?
Well, as far as details as to what they saw or what they believe or what they heard, I won't get into. But from the point of when the situation happened, a number of witnesses were immediately transported up to our headquarters here and interviewed right away. So we've been able to get really detailed information, critical information to the early stages and what happened in this file. That certainly played a role in the fact that we've already laid 5 counts of first-degree murder.
Were the victims found in different rooms, or the same rooms?
Yeah, I can just say that there were the 3 males that were found upon police arrival that were already deceased, 1 female that was injured, who was transported, that was also in the house, and one male on the front lawn that was injured and transported. I won't get into exactly where they were within the house.
Is there any explanation as to why some of the other party owners did not try to intervene, or did they?
No, and again, I think that speaks to that guessing, speculation as to how this could possibly happen, how could people not step in, and why didn't people do what they didn't do. We don't really, again, unless you were there and saw it happening or could say what was in the mental state of all the people there, we don't know how it happened, if it was in a big group of people or if people just froze or if people fled, we don't know. So I mean, we're hoping that by the course of interviewing everybody, re-interviewing people, and then what file we present at the court, that we'll be able to make a clearer picture. But those are details that we're going to all have to be patient with, and those will come out in court.
This
What-
may have been asked already, but was there some sort of suicide threat linked to Matt DeGrood?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the details of the conversation or what he said or what devices he was on in the even the hours leading up to the investigation, just because those are critical details that need to go before the courts.
What's happening at the DeGrood household? What's happened so far, and what are police going to be doing over the next couple of days?
We of course went to the DeGrood household as part of the investigative follow-up because our suspect still lived there, or accused still lived there, and I know we have talked to the DeGrood family. But as far as that goes, I think there's nothing more that we're dealing with other than keeping in touch with them as needed.
So that you're not taking any computers out of there, any cell phones, and nothing?
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
I mean, whatever investigative, a warrant was executed there, and part of what we're trying to determine in his activities leading up to this event is that we would have seized whatever evidence we thought was relevant to this file. Now, as far as what exactly was taken, I don't know, but we were looking at computers and devices, handheld devices, phones, whatever, so I don't know exactly what was taken out of the home, but a warrant was executed there, and for the sole purpose of evidence gathering in relation to him and his activities.
Can you tell us when his shift ended, and did he in fact show up at his work spot?
I can say that he was at work. I don't know when his shift ended. I understand that he left work and went to the party. Now, whether we went directly or stopped partway, I don't know, but I do know he was at work and then went to the party after work. Don't know when his shift ended, though.
Mr. Chair, the charges of first-degree murder, does that imply that he went to the party with this plan in his head, or do you think why is it first degree, I guess?
Well, I don't want to get into too many legal details as to what constitutes first degree, but basically, in essence, is that the actions of our victims had no bearing on the end result of the actions that the accused took. And so there was nothing that led to that. There was no actions that they did that led to him taking the action that he took. So the fact that those actions that he took without any influence from the victims is what elevated this to a first degree level.
But doesn't first degree also imply premeditation?
Well, I don't want to get into, all I understand is that for first degree, kind of the key piece to first degree is that the actions that he took There was nothing that were influenced by those actions by the victims, so they were innocent, did nothing, and that he took that action to the degree that he did. And in the Crown's opinion, that met the first degree. Now, whether there's premeditation or not, that would certainly be determined by whatever information that we get leading up to the point that that attack happened.
How did he get from his
Brought the knife
workplace to the
That
party?
would imply premeditation, would it not?
I'm sorry?
Brought the knife from work, would that not imply premeditation?
He did not bring the knife from work.
Box cutter?
Well,
No.
the knife that was used in the attack was, we believe, obtained in the house. So in relation to this particular file, the knife was something he obtained once he got to the party.
So was it a knife that he brought from work also?
I won't know. The knife that we understand that was used was obtained at the house.
So he didn't bring a knife from work?
I won't get into what we found on him at his arrest.
How did he get from his workplace to the party?
I don't know.
Any more questions, guys? Okay, thanks.
Yep.